My name's Rosie Sullivan and I'm the College Principal at the Australian College of Professionals. We're one of the RTOs, or registered training organisations, that focus primarily on training in the property industry throughout Australia. New South Wales are presenting some new reforms to our industry. The draft documentations are now released and it's time for us to have public consultation and get to know what's really in those documents. So just last week, New South Wales Fair Trading released the Public Consultation Draft of the Property and Stock Agents Qualification Order 2019 and the Explanatory Paper, which looked at the regulations, the qualifications and CPD requirements. So I just want to commence this video by stating very clearly that these documents that have been released are public consultation documents only. They are not the final documents. We're expecting the finalised documents from Fair Trading in November this year. Now, we at ACOP have now reviewed all of the documentation and we've prepared a summary of how this relates to agents in New South Wales and how the reforms will affect the licensing and the training programs for all agents in our industry. Firstly, and most excitedly, we now have a date for the implementation of the reforms. It is the 23rd of March 2020. So, just over 6 months away. Now, we as a property industry here in New South Wales have until the 2nd of October this year to review these draft documents and provide feedback to New South Wales Fair Trading for their consideration in the preparation of the final documentation. Now, this is one of the largest changes to our industry in a couple of decades. So we need to take it seriously and make sure that we understand the impact of the documents and have our say in relation to their implementation. Now, I must say that I personally believe that the majority of the reforms are positive for our industry, and it's time that our industry was perceived in a more positive light by our consumers, and this change to public perception will be enhanced by our increased professionalism and compliance within our sector. So these changes to our laws and our regulations and our training requirements are really positive. Now, let's have a look at some of the major changes that are coming. Now, licence categories, we'll start with that. Currently we have 2 levels of licence or 2 levels of authority to practice in New South Wales. We have the Certificate of Registration holders, or our entry-level employees, and we have licensed agents. Now, this will change to 3 levels of authority. Firstly, there'll be assistant agents, or our Certificate of Registration holders. Then we'll have Class 2 licence holders. Now, they're equivalent to our current licence holders. And the new category is Class 1 licence holders, or the licensee in charge category. Now, we currently have 6 categories of licence in the general licence category. There's real estate, there's business agents, stock and station agents, strata management, buyers agents, and on-site residential property managers. Now, when the reforms are implemented next March, it's proposed that there will be just 3 categories of licence: real estate, stock and station, and strata management. Now, there's no change to the stock and station or the strata management licence. However, the new real estate licence will incorporate the old business agent's licence, the buyer's agent's licence, and the on-site residential property manager's licence. Now, these 3 new licences, real estate, strata and stock and station, will be referred to as Class 2 licences. People who currently hold a full licence in any of those categories will automatically transfer across to a Class 2 licence relevant to their existing category. If you currently hold a business agent's licence, a buyer's agent's licence, or an on-site residential property manager's licence, you'll transition to a real estate licence that is restricted to the functions and activities allowed under your current category of licence. So, for example, if you currently hold a business agent's licence and no other licence, you will transition to a Class 2 real estate licence with the condition that you can only list and sell businesses. Little alternative here. If you're currently the nominated licensee in charge of an agency or a corporation, then when you make application for a Class 1 licence, which you will need to do, and you'll be offered that opportunity by New South Wales Fair Trading, you will automatically transition to the new Class 1 licence category. So, nominated licensee in charge, straight across to the Class 1 licence. Now, if you're currently a licensed agent, but you are not the nominated licensee in charge, and then you wish to make an application for a Class 1 licence when the reforms commence, the application requirements for a Class 1 licence are going to be 2 years of holding a licence and working in the property industry, plus you will need to provide evidence of your competence over that 2-year period of work experience. Now, the experience requirements have been nominated in the draft qualifications order And for a Class 1 licence, you'll need to meet all of the 15 tasks from Part 1 of that schedule and 9 tasks from Part 2 of the schedule. So they've been nominated and you'll have to have that evidence documented. Plus, you'll also need to hold the Diploma of Property Agency Management, or the older, or what is currently being offered at the moment, the equivalent Diploma of Property Services in Agency Management. Similar qualifications. Now remember that to disburse funds from a trust account, you must hold a Class 1 licence under the new regime. So this means that other team members can prepare the entries into a trust account, but only a Class 1 licence holder can actually disburse the funds. So mid-month, month-end, paying tradies, paying accounts for landlords or owners corporations, paying vendors for property settlements, the final push of that button for the disbursement of funds can only be done by a Class 1 licence holder. So in essence, this means that every agency needs more than just the licensee in charge to hold a Class 1 licence. And the larger the agency, the more Class 1 licence holders you may need. You need to think about how your business is structured currently and how you operate and manage your trust account under the current situation. So this way you've got 6 months at this stage to ensure your compliance with that disbursement of funds come March next year. Now, obviously that's going to differ from agency to agency, so talk to us if you require some information in relation to your specific structure needs. Let's move on to certificate of registration holders. If you hold a certificate of registration at the time that the reforms commence next March, then at your next renewal date after the reforms come in, you'll be issued with a 4-year certificate. This means that you'll have 4 years to obtain the qualification required to make application for a Class 2 licence. If you don't obtain that qualification and make application for a Class 2 licence, you'll be held out of the industry for a minimum of 12 months. Big thing to remember here is that assistant agents will not be able to enter into any contract or transaction on behalf of any party except a residential tenancy agreement. So this means that every agency agreement, sales, management agreement, strata agreement must be countersigned by a licensed agent, be they Class 2 or Class 1 licence, before that agreement will be valid. Now that's not a great look for an experienced agent to have to get someone else to validate their agreements. So that transition from certificate to licence holder, for those of you who have experience in the industry already, get on with it and talk to us about that. Also, instead of CPD for certificate holders will be required to complete, not just enrol, but successfully complete 3 units of competency towards their licensing qualification. Now that actually sounds like a lot, but when you're studying through our college, this will simply be one module, such as the sales module or the property management module or auctioneering. All of them have a minimum of 3 units of competency in them. Naturally, you can complete your qualification faster than the allocated 4 years and then make application for a Class 2 licence. Now, to make application to fair trading for a Class 2 licence after the reforms, similar to a Class 1, but a little bit lower in the requirements. So what you're going to need to get a Class 2 licence is 1 year of holding a certificate of registration and working in the property industry. Plus, you'll need to provide evidence of your competence over that 1 year period of work experience. So again, like the Class 1, there's a list of the work experience requirements. And to get a Class 2 licence, you only need to do 9 of the tasks from Part 1 and 5 tasks of the experience requirements from Part 2 of the list. You'll also need to hold the relevant Certificate 4 qualification for the category of licence you're applying for. The qualification is the same for real estate and stock and station, just a few difference in some of the units, and the specific Strata Certificate 4 qualification is required for application for a Class 2 Strata Management licence. Now, to auctioneers. There is basically no change to the requirements for auctioneers. You must hold either a Class 1 or a Class 2 real estate or stock and station licence, and you must complete 3 units of competency from the new Certificate 4 in Real Estate Practice qualification. Naturally, if you already hold the auctioneering condition on your current licence, this will transfer across to your new Class 1 or Class 2 licence, whichever class of licence you hold after the reforms. Now, there are changes coming for CPD as well. Now, the point system that we currently have will be a thing of the past, so no more 12 points to be compliant. With the implementation of the reforms, CPD will be about hours of training. The CPD year will be from March to March each year, and whilst you will still renew your licence on whatever day it currently falls, your CPD year will change from March to March and thereafter. Now, for certificate of registration holders, or assistant agents as they'll be referred to, your requirement for ongoing training is that you complete the 3 units of competency each year towards your licence qualification. There are no other CPD requirements for assistant agents. For Class 2 licence holders, you will need to complete 6 hours of CPD each year. This will consist of 3 hours of compulsory CPD topics. For next year, New South Wales Fair Trading have nominated this as those 3 hours being divided equally into real estate reforms, rules of conduct and risk management. You'll also need to complete 3 hours of elective CPD topics. Again, Fair Trading have listed quite a number of topics that you can choose from, and there'll be agency best practice issues such as ethics, professionalism, fraud prevention, marketing, quality control, WHS. So, RTOs such as us will be offering that training in all different styles but we will have to meet the Fair Trading requirements of the selected or the nominated elective topics. For Class 1 licence holders, you will need to complete 9 hours of CPD each year. So extra hours with us. This will consist of the same 3 hours of compulsory CPD topics as Class 2 licence holders, the same 3 hours of elective CPD topics as Class 2 licence holders. The additional 3 hours of CPD topics relating to business practices, which makes sense because if you've got a Class 1 licence, you are at that business pointy end of running the agency. So the topics there that have been nominated by Fair Trading: trust accounting, business risk, industrial relations, HR management, supervision requirements, compliance audits, reviews. So those sorts of topics. So, some actually interesting things that will help you run your business better. So those additional 3 hours of business-related topics for Class 1 licence holders will actually only come into effect in March 2021, as it's going to take that first year of the reforms for all Class 1 licence holders to transfer over to the new system as they each renew their licences throughout that year. So it's just 6 hours for next year, for the March 20 to March 2021, that CPD year. It's 6 hours of mandatory and so compulsory and elective topics for both Class 1 and Class 2 licences. Then starting March 2021, it's the extra 3 hours for the Class 1 licence holders. Now, there are some other significant changes included in the reforms. The licence renewals will be able to be selected from 1, 3 or 5 year terms, so that'll commence next March, obviously. The supervision guidelines for licensees in charge will be updated to reflect the changes made in the amendments to the Act. At this time, there's no set date for the introduction of these guidelines. There are also a number of changes to or additional clauses in Schedules 1, 2 and 3 for the regulations. So that's actually being more specific about the rules of conduct and how you do your business. And as we already know, that was one of the changes in the reforms, or the Amendment Act has already been implemented as of 1st of July this year, and they were the requirements for all trust account audit reports, whether they're qualified or not, to be lodged online with New South Wales Fair Trading by the end of this year, so the 31st of December. So let's have a look at this as a summary. We have until the 2nd of October to have our say about these draft documents. We need to take responsibility for the future of our industry. We all do. So please read all the documents, or at least the summary that we're putting on our website with this video, and have your say on how our industry will function into the future. If you've got comments, either go onto the Fair Trading website and submit your own comments, or return your comments to us via email, and we'll incorporate those into our response. Remember, it all needs to be lodged by the 2nd of October, so get them in. Now, we don't want agents to stress about the changes. There's enough stress in this world with us taking on more stress. So we here at ACOP, we're all over this. As the changes come into place, we'll make sure that we inform you through our newsletters and our videos, and naturally through our weekly Facebook live posts every Wednesday afternoon. If you need some more information about obtaining the qualifications required for either a Class 1 or a Class 2 licence, speak with one of our training administrators or your trainer at CPD classes, or just go to our website for more information. For real estate, stock and station, strata management, business agents, buyers agents, on-site managers, we're at the college here. We've been running certificate of registration programs, licensing programs, the diploma programs since 2003. We're good at it. We can definitely assist you. Please don't stress. Read these documents, and this is exciting times for our industry. Guys, have a fabulous day at work. Be successful, be calm, and we'll see you in training. Bye now.